anger in Israel is growing against the Netanyahu government. Thousands of protesters have taken to the streets demanding the removal of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and an end to the war in Gaza. Demonstrations took place at the Habima Square, with some blaming Netanyahu and other officials for Hamas attacks on the 7th of October. Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, people gathered in front of the house of the Israeli president to demand the release of captives held by Hamas. Protesters held signs bearing images of hostages' faces and messages such as, quote-unquote, "Get them out of hell."
I think the government should do everything they can do to bring them back home. It's so many days, too many days that they're there.
It's important for me to be here to demand a ceasefire now and a political solution now, and to convey our voices and to shout as loud as we can, even through the repression that we are experiencing right now. And even though no one wants us to voice those voices, it's more important than ever for us to voice them and to say however loud we can and whenever we can. It's important for me to be a part of this, to be part of the solution and not part of the problem.
This is seen as one of the major anti-government protests since the war began on the 7th of October. Protesters called for elections as they came out on the streets of Tel Aviv. Meanwhile, in Paris, hundreds of people are protesting for a ceasefire in Gaza. Demonstrators have been seen holding placards and banners condemning Israel's actions in Gaza.
It's very important for us to be here today because there's a big massacre going on. It's been going on for a very long time and it's intolerable. I can't understand why in 2023 we're still hearing about this conflict when these are people who are simply trying to live freely on their land.
Meanwhile, in Seattle, pro-Palestinian protesters blocked traffic for several hours. Dozens of demonstrators sat across lanes of the highway, bringing northbound traffic to a halt, while several other protesters were seen yelling pro-Palestinian slogans. More than 100 Israelis are still believed to be in Hamas's captivity. Sunday marks 100 days since the 7th of October attack, after which Israel launched an offensive aimed at wiping out Hamas. Israel's offensive has so far killed over 22,000 people in Gaza. During a temporary truce in November, Hamas released 105 hostages in a mutually agreed hostage exchange between Hamas and Israel.